You are afraid of your own mind. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way you'd admit at dinner, but the moment a queue moves too slowly, you reach for your phone. The moment a meeting runs dry, you check your notifications. The moment you sit in a car without music, something inside you flinches. You were handed a moment of silence, and you panicked. And here's the thing no one is telling you. That panic is brand new. For almost all of human history, boredom was not a problem. It was a daily event. Farmers waited for weather. Sailors waited for wind. Mothers rocked children in the dark for hours without anything to listen to, watch, or scroll through. Medieval peasants spent entire winter afternoons doing nothing in particular, not because they were lazy, but because there was genuinely nothing else to do. And their brains were not suffering. Modern neuroscience has a name for what they were doing. It's called the default mode network, a set of brain regions that activates specifically when you are not focused on a task, when you stare out a window, when your mind wanders, when you sit with no goal. For most of human existence, people visited this state several times a day, without trying. Now, most of us almost never get there. So here's the question that should bother you. If boredom was neurologically essential, what has happened to every mind that lost it? In 2014, a team of psychologists at the University of Virginia ran a study that should have made headlines for years. They put participants in an empty room. No phone, no book, no stimulus of any kind. And they told them to sit quietly with their thoughts for 15 minutes. That's it. Most people hated it. Many described the experience as actively unpleasant. Some said 15 minutes felt like an hour. Then the researchers added a wrinkle. They told participants, if you want, you can press a button. It will give you an electric shock. We showed you this shock earlier. You told us you'd pay money to avoid it. 65% of men and 25% of women pressed the button anyway. They chose pain over silence. The lead researcher, Timothy Wilson, put it plainly. People seem to prefer doing than thinking, even if what they are doing is shocking themselves. Now, pull back from that lab room. Think about what that says about the world we've built. A world that offers an endless stream of inputs specifically designed to ensure you never have to be alone in your own head. The button is always available now. It's in your pocket. It vibrates. Here's the first thing you need to understand. The default mode network is not idle. When your mind wanders, it is running a complex background process. It is consolidating memory, processing emotion, building your sense of self, simulating future scenarios, working through unresolved social problems. Your brain is not resting when it's bored. It is filing. Second thing, the DMN is also where creativity lives. Almost every significant insight, the shower thought, the half-asleep revelation, the solution that appears on a walk, happens when the DMN is active, not when you're focused, when you're drifting. Newton was not staring at a spreadsheet when the apple fell. Third thing, and this is where it gets uncomfortable, chronic DMN suppression, which is what happens when you fill every spare second with stimulus, is associated with increased anxiety, reduced empathy, and impaired autobiographical memory, which means when you never allow your mind to wander, you become less able to understand others, less able to remember who you are, and more prone to anxiety. You are not curing your anxiety by staying distracted. You are feeding it. Fourth thing, the attention economy knows all of this. The engineers who designed the infinite scroll, the autoplay, the red notification badge, they understood, at a fundamental level, that the human mind has a gap it needs to fill. They built a product to fill it, and they made it more rewarding than anything the natural mind can generate on its own. They didn't steal your attention. They made you want to give it away. Stop. Let that sit for a second. Because here's the thing that's easy to miss in all of this. Your ancestors did not choose boredom. They endured it. And in enduring it, they accidentally maintained something vital. You have been given the choice, and you have chosen, almost without exception, to opt out. Not because you're weak, because the alternative is engineered to be irresistible. Think about the last time you were truly deeply bored. Not impatient, not overstimulated, genuinely bored, with nothing to do, nowhere to be, no screen to reach for. Maybe it was a power outage, a long train ride before you had a smartphone, a childhood summer afternoon that stretched on forever. Now ask yourself, what happened after? Because if you're honest, something probably did. A weird idea, a memory that surfaced from nowhere, a conversation you had with yourself that you hadn't had in years, a clarity that felt almost strange because you'd forgotten what it felt like. That was your default mode network, running properly, doing what it was built to do. You didn't schedule that. You didn't optimize for it. You didn't achieve it. You just stopped feeding the machine for long enough that your actual mind had room to breathe. Here's what no one can answer for you. If your mind is never allowed to wander, if every gap is filled, every pause is plugged, every moment of stillness is treated as a problem to solve, then what exactly is being thought inside it? Not your thoughts, not your questions, not the slow, patient, unpredictable movements of a mind left to its own devices. Someone else's content. Your ancestors were bored, and in their boredom, they were themselves. You are almost never bored. And the question, the one that has no clean answer, is who are you in all the space where your thoughts used to be?